This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 807 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Sue Kolstad, dressage judge, joins dressage radio show co-hosts Reese Kofler-Stanfield and Philip Parks to take the mystery out of how and why the extended and medium trots are scored the way they are. Screw your earbuds in extra tight for this one because it covers a lot of ground, just like a good extended trot. And we'll be getting right to our tip after this important message from Horse Quencher. Coach Jen here, host of the Horse Tip Daily Show on the Horse Radio Network. Do you worry when your horse doesn't drink enough? Well, of course you do. Being fully hydrated is your horse's first line of defense against minor issues becoming major ones. All Natural Horse Quencher is the product that helps even the fussiest drinkers drink more. Listen to what Chester Weber, winner of the USEF National Four in Hand Championships 8 years running, has to say about Horse Quencher.
One often doesn't know they need a product until they're introduced to it. Since I was introduced to Horse Quencher, I've been wildly impressed with its ability to keep the horses in the water buckets drinking, and it's given me real peace of mind.
Take it from Chester Weber. Horse Quencher is the all-natural product you need to help your horses drink as much as they should. Ask for Horse Quencher at your local tack and feed store or online at horsequencher.com.
So, Sue, can you just start by kind of telling us the difference between lengthenings, mediums, and extensions?
I will do my best to clarify the confusion in that participants' understanding of the definitions and then what the judge is looking for. One thing that you have to really understand about the judges is there's a very small amount of time to give a lot of information. And the judge doesn't have enough time to really say everything that they really want to say about each individual movement. So they try to put it in as few words as possible for the sake of the scribe. And sometimes they don't really get the meaning quite clarified to the riders. And so there's many times when my students will come to me and they'll show me their test and they'll say, the judge said this or this or this. And I say, well, they could only mention one part of it. They couldn't tell you, they couldn't write a paragraph about it because the next movement came up too fast. And so when that rider said something about the transitions and didn't think that the transitions were a part of the lengthening, that is not true because a transition is always part of every movement unless it's a separate score. And if you go into the directives, you will find that transitions are always included in the directives for the movement unless, like I said, the transition is a separate score. And some horses have natural extended trots and some don't. And so a lot of times we as trainers have to build the extensions into our horses. And in the judges' forums, when they teach us how to give a high score for a particular thing, there are some movements that are considered punishable. Like, say, if you're supposed to do a simple change, which is a canter transition to the walk and then back to the canter again. If you do a flying change, that's above the movement, and then you get a very bad score. But if you were supposed to do a turn on the haunches, which is out of a medium walk, and you do a pirouette, which is much tighter, out of a collected walk, you will actually get a higher score. And the same holds true for lengthening. If you're riding a first-level horse and it has a natural extended trot, which is balanced, which has an elongation of the stride and maintains the same tempo, and it shows the power, and it covers ground, and it has an overstep where the hind legs come under the body and in front of the hoof print of the front leg of the front foot, you will get a higher score at first level than a horse that just does a lengthening. So to get a 7 for a lengthening of the stride in the trot, the score 7 is fairly good. And that means the horse had to have a clear transition into the trot, into the lengthening, and it had to have, I'm looking for a transition into the trot, and it had to have accuracy riding from point to point on the line and into the corner, and it must be regular to beat rhythm, and it must have some elasticity, and it must be fairly steady with contact, and fairly good energy and expression. And the hind legs should step a bit further under the horse's body and carry even more weight. But to get a 10, the horse has to have absolutely everything better than to get a 7. And rare is the horse that ever gets a 10 or even a 9 on a lengthening. And like I said before, sometimes when somebody shows a horse that was actually trained to a much higher level and they bring it down to a lower level and the horse has the strength for the self-carriage and the expression in extended trot and they do a lengthening, they'll get a much higher score. But most horses at first level aren't really strong enough to show the power and the suspension that would get a 10. And an extended trot and a medium trot are out of collected gaits. So the lengthening trot is done from a working trot, and the extended trot or the medium trot is done once the horse has collection, and it's done out of a collected gait. And basically, from the judge's perspective, the difference between a medium trot and an extended trot is the length of the frame. The extended trot, the horse should completely lengthen its entire frame, and in a medium trot, it should do a powerful extension with its legs, but still maintain more of a compressed frame. And really, truly, it's very difficult to differentiate. So, like at Pre-St. George, the first trot is a medium trot, and the second time it's an extended trot. You just try to show more the second time, so it shows a difference to the judge. And they teach us in the judges' forums, if you see a difference between the two and the second one shows more, then you give the second one the same score or a higher score, depending on what your standard is. But if the second one doesn't look any different than the first one, then you take it down a point because they didn't show a difference.
And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed Reese and Phillip chatting about all things dressage, you can tune in every week at dressageradio.com. You can also find lots more tips about topics ranging from barn care to websites for horse people at horsetipdaily.com. Just look for the topics drop-down menu on the left. And don't forget to support our sponsors here on Horse Tip Daily because they make these podcasts possible. Today's podcast has been brought to you through the generous support of Horse Quencher. You can find them online at horsequencher.com. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.